Mr. Vanhoutte, first of all, welcome to Verona and welcome to our event, Human and Non-Human Resources. I'd like to thank you for sharing with us your views on the latest development of these technologies. Yeah. We said that technologies enable new ways of work. However, these new working habits should build on a management culture that overtook old models. So how can both factors contribute together to a new management philosophy?
That's a lot of questions in one go, yeah? So first of all, I think we all know in our lives that technology is changing the way we live and the way we work. A lot of people are looking at some smartphones, at some tablets at this very moment, waiting for me to be interesting. I'm going to do my best. But it's very clear that the adoption of all of these consumer technologies is not really progressing into business. How many of you are using social collaboration techniques in your business? Can I ask a question? How many of you are using Microsoft Link or Skype or Cisco Jabber in your business? How many are using that? That's not bad. It's not bad. I thought it was worse. So that's good. Maybe is that because you, as responsible people for Resources Human, you also run IT? No, not yet. Maybe you should do that. So the nice thing is all of these technologies are allowing people to work everywhere, anytime they want. Yeah? So this is providing a degree of freedom that as managers we should capture. So our definition of smarter working is it's a management philosophy whereby you give people the freedom to decide where and when they do their jobs, as long as they produce results, save money, and also respect the planet. Is that an easy definition? So now the question comes, who's going to do that? So I had the challenge in my management team that people were reluctant to take up the accountability, and I looked at my HR lady, and I said to her, you are going to do this. You are the person that needs to make sure that you don't just manage resources, that's the input. Your responsibility is output. You are now in charge of human realization. Human realization. You will be responsible for the space environments, virtual and physical. You're in charge of the bricks. You're in charge of the horizontal collaboration infrastructure. Thank you very much, IT. You're going to do that with you. Last but not least, you are responsible for a new management and collaboration culture in the organization. So my question to you is, do you understand that that is your duty? Are you ready to do these things? Because that's a big job. You need 16 hours a day, and changing your manager and your leader in your organization, you got to be super fit to do that.
This innovative management culture should be based on trust and focus on results. That's a problem. Yes. So starting with trust, which meaning would you give these terms within a corporate context?
Yes. For me, trust is the rocket fuel of a Ferrari. We have the Ferraris are the people. You just need to put the right fuel into it. But trust is not very well understood. It's a fluffy kind of term, and I don't know if you know the god of trust. It's Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey has written the book about trust. Last week he was in London, and he shared the latest views on trust, which is all about confidence. And he says, trust is something that you give unilaterally without any condition. If we have decided to work together on this event, I do not question if you are good at it. We look at each other and we say, we understand you have a lot of background, we are going to make this. It's not partial. Trust should be given 100%, and then it can be taken back if you disappoint each other, right? So trust is about focusing on behaviors, being very clear about expectations, being very much of high integrity, about listening to people, about trust. I mean, there is 15 behaviors that are described in the book of Stephen Covey that have to be lived every day. So I recommend to you that you have a look at this book and this philosophy, where trust is all about 15 behaviors that every day need to reconfirm the 100% trust that you have been given.
And concerning results, studies suggest that older leadership style based on orders and control should be replaced by a new style based on responsibility. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think if you look at the current leadership styles, assuming that most of you have leadership positions of 15, 20 years old, the current leadership styles are a mix of medieval hierarchical control, entrepreneurial despotism, military command and control, I'm sorry, and not to forget engineering over-specialization. That's the cocktail of management culture which has been produced. We need to fundamentally review what management and leadership is about. It's about economic value add and getting that out of people and making sure that on top of that there is a culture of meritocracy and equality. In fact, there is a lot of books that say that you can better do without managers, at least the current generation of managers, than currently. So it's a big thing. So the question again is, are you as in charge of human capital, do you have the courage to stand up to your managers and tell them that this is no longer good? Doesn't matter whether you're in a family business or not, right? It's a big job.
And today, as increased productivity should be pursued by enhancing cooperation between a person working in different ways. So how can employee well-being and communication technologies contribute together?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing we're going to do is make sure that people have the basic tools to work. So for those of you who have not given to your employees a PC which is fast, a notebook, and a smartphone, you got to give it to them. In fact, most of them will buy it already. You just need to plug them into your systems, number one. Give them a good social virtual collaboration system so that they can learn how to work when they are not together. It's going to be the exception rather than the rule to be together. These days, I will decide to work in my bed in the hotel in the morning because I can be very focused. Other colleagues want to be in the office. So we need to make sure they can be brought together. The second thing is we need to create spaces, offices, which are good for work. Most offices today are very, very poor. They have been designed with the eyes in mind. Beautiful steel, wood, concrete, and so forth, but the acoustics are very, very bad. The nicer the building, the worse the acoustics are. So the big problem in most companies is people are in landscape offices and they cannot concentrate. Yeah? So they put on headphones, big headphones, to concentrate, and then they cannot collaborate anymore. So making sure that you have the right space environment is number one. We are using a survey called Leesman, Leesman. It's the first independent employee workspace satisfaction survey. You ask all of the employees to tell what they are doing and their level of satisfaction with the chair, the desk, the air quality, and so forth. And out of that comes an ugly figure. Yeah? In our company, it was 63 on a scale of 100. And we had the diagnostics, which things we had to work on. Our company, I had 1 out of 3 of my employees saying that they would never take their family, friends, or customers to the office because it was so out of date. Do you have the courage to ask your employees if their working places are right? So asking if they have the right spaces to work. In fact, I have decided last week that HR is in charge of real estate, facilities, and everything that has to do with space. In a hotel, at home, in the end, the space that we have, if we are not having factories, is for people to work in. So the basics of technology and space need to be managed by the HR leader.
So what does it mean, in your opinion, to care for employee well-being, and which is the correct approach?
Well, I think the first question you have to ask yourself is, are people happy in their jobs? Just have a look on a Monday morning. How many people have smiles on their face to go to work? I mean, let's face it, I'm going to be very crass, we're really fucked up if people on a Monday morning don't like to go to work? Your job should be like your hobby. So how can it be on this planet? Can we be proud in charge of human resources that most people don't want to go to work? That's a big problem. So that's what we are finding. We are measuring employee engagement, discretionary engagement. It's the degree to which the employees are wanting to go the extra mile. You know that there is many people that don't even do the job they're expected to do. So employees are not satisfied with their managers. The managers are not impressed with what the employees do. We have a big, big gap to close. Yeah? So asking ourselves simply, are people, who are they? Have they discovered themselves? Do they know what their strengths are? What is their view on their career? Can we help them with that? Is that a personal thing, a team member thing, a corporate thing? So for me, the major responsibility in HR is to help people progress their professional lives. And the self-discovery with personality testing, coaching for performance, with all the systems that come with it, there's so much to be done. You all will be having a job until you're 75, no problem.
That's right. And companies should also be attractive. And in your opinion, can collaborative working modes increase corporate attractiveness?
It's a very interesting topic. I was opening the European Congress on employee engagement and employer branding. And I discovered something new. It's called EVP. It's called Employee Value Proposition. And this is at the crossroads of very proven marketing techniques of branding and what you can do with it in the HR field. And I think in those industries which are highly competitive, it's now mandatory to make sure that the experience of your employee, all the way down from the first seduction, I fall in love with this company. They set expectations. I have a mutual partnership with them. How is that partnership confirmed through my 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years in the company? How do we separate at the end and still are friends? So this whole employee value proposition with everything from health and well-being. Let me give you an example. We have been sitting here the whole day. The #1 cause of death at work is sitting down. Human beings have not been designed to sit down. They need to move, they need to stand up. I just made a suggestion, Chiara, that next time around we should be standing up for the presentations because it's more energy. Yeah? When you are sitting down, you miss 40% of the capacity of your lungs. So when you are standing up, you can communicate better, you can talk with more confidence, and particularly on a conference call, when everybody is falling asleep, you can have more impact, right? So we need to learn to discover how we move in business, how we project ourselves, the language that we use, speech impact courses. We are giving speech impact courses.
Don't worry, you have impact even.
Well, I'm trying to illustrate, but how many of you have had a course in speaking? How many of you? I would expect more in Italy. You guys are good communicators, right? So, but just learning how to communicate. If we are not going to be together, there is no capacity in the networks for video communication, and your communication is 80% with your body. If your body is not there, it cannot talk. You need to have your voice to become your new body, right? So how many people have been trained on using their voices? I was never trained until a couple of years ago, yeah?
Okay, I would like to go back to the concept of trust and responsibility. Yes. They often go together. Do you think that the call for responsibility concerns all the working positions?
Absolutely, absolutely. Look, the days are gone of managers, them and us. It's all on an even keel. I have now 2 experiments in my company where I have teams that do not have a manager. We are working with self-directed teams. These are people which are mature, understand their fields, and have the behavior capability of respecting each other rather than chopping each other's head off, right? So, and the power of having this is enormous. My marketing team in Europe doesn't have a marketing director. So now and then, when the progress is not enough. I'm saying to them, shall I recruit a manager for you? And I'll put that manager in between you as a team and me. They say, oh, no manager. We will work harder at working together because we don't need a manager. We want to work directly with you. Yeah? So that's how you can provoke it. But it applies everywhere. But it's meritocracy and it's equality.
That's good. Can you tell us some case histories of companies that have successfully redesigned their working modes?
Yes. Well, I think I've come here for the last couple of years, and I must say there is, first of all, I congratulate your event because there is something happening in human resources, human realization in Italy that I have not seen in other countries. So there's something fascinating happening here. But I've seen this happening with Tetra Pak. I work intensively with the Politecnico in Milano, Professor Mariano Corso, which was doing studies on technology. And I said to him, I'm not going to sponsor your studies on technology anymore. This is all about a new management culture in Italy. So if you're going to invest in that, I will sponsor these kind of things. So they have now the Osservatorio about smart working. My HR manager is going to be in a couple of weeks on the scene to talk to an audience of technical people, because we felt it was more important that HR is taking the lead. So good examples with several companies here. Yep.
So you have 3 minutes more. Can you, what can you tell us more about trust? I think it's a very important question. Trust and responsibility. You already talk as your opinion, but I think we can more underline.
Well, I think I would like to. I did not believe when you raised your hands that you're using social collaboration. So let me. When I talk about social and unified collaboration, it's defined as follows. When you are not together and you have to work virtually, you need to understand if the other person is there. The way to do that is with presence technology. And presence technology is a little bullet next to a name that says if you are available, green, orange, or red. So does everybody have that? Does everybody use instant messaging in the company? Everybody use instant messaging? That's good. It's only 1 out of 3. Look, instant messaging is existing 15 years. We've been using this for 10 years in our private lives. It's not acceptable for instant messaging and presence not to be available in your company. You're using it with your kids. Why are you not using it in the company? When you have that, then you have the new modern multimedia communication engine. The first gear in communication today is instant messaging. You don't disrupt people for real-time communication. You ask them a quick question. You ask them for permission for a real-time communication. You do that with voice to begin with. Plenty of choice of phones. Mobile phones, voice phones traditionally, and internet phones. Not easy to combine. The average number of phones being used in business is now 6 during any given week. Many people still have the old-style phone at home. They still have the old-style phone in the office. You have 1 or 2 mobile phones because you don't want your boss to see if a recruiter is calling you or your wife to see that your mistress is calling you, right? You are using Skype, Google Voice. You are now using a tablet to communicate. My son is living in the United States, in Texas. When we are having dinner, we have a Skype video conversation with him having lunch. So I'm using 8 different phones during the week. But if I call you, then the phone needs to ring on all these 8 phones. So we need to make sure that we unify telephony around one contact identifier and all these phones being combined. If I ask you how many have that done in the company, now we're going to have, how many people have it integrated, all their telephony? Not one finger is going up, right? So you need to go back in responsible of human resources to make sure that people can be identified in a list and all the contact details with it. Once you have that, then you can start to dream about telepresence and things like that. You will need a lot of networks. So I would really urge you to validate that modern communication tools are available. When that happens, I only have 10 seconds left, then you will discover that virtual collaboration is very hard. How many of you are doing conference calls? Yeah? Do you like conference calls? Are you looking forward to a conference call? Raise hands. One person is sadomasochist, and and she likes conference calls. No, conference calls suck. Why? Because people are not in each other's view, and they do many other things. Answers Facebook, book the travel for next week, have a chat with your mother-in-law if there is no... And so what we're saying is there's only 1 out of 4 people which are paying attention in virtual collaboration. Is that the future that you would like to present to your board of directors? So I'm telling you, in this new world of virtual collaboration, there will need to be training. How are people going to be focused? The biggest disease in business at this moment is partial attention disorder. Partial attention disorder, not paying attention. I have not watched television for 3 years. I don't read newspapers during the week. I only read newspapers in the weekend. I isolate myself as a manager regularly in a church when nobody is there, in a sauna when it's too hot for the other people, to be able to think about what the company should be doing, to switch off the phone now and then for an hour, to stop doing the nonsense of social media. This is what we have to educate people with, yeah? That they have to use the modern tools, but have to have the discipline, yeah, of being focused and paying attention and being engaged. It's really, really sad that people get together in a meeting room and somebody is looking at a smartphone. That's disrespectful. Active, positive listening with each other is the biggest thing we need to treat people. And the generation of young people coming up, they are not ready for this. They are not ready for this. I'm asking my people sometimes, would you mind reading a good book? People don't have the time and the courage anymore to write a good book. Now, you all know there's many good books written on this planet. I now am producing for my team executive summaries. I used to ask them, write a new book, read a book. Anybody has read Daniel Pink, To Sell is Human? Selling is Human? You must read To Sell is Human. I can give you an executive summary in 10 minutes. I produced 12 slides, so you don't have to read it, right? This is how far we've come. Just appreciating wisdom and being able to play it back. These are the big challenges.
Okay.
I'm over time.
Thank you, Mr. Vanhoutte, for your precious contribution to